go ahead and dare to believe this time around will be different. Hi everyone, and welcome to week 1 of the Made to Crave book club. If this is your first time ever watching one of my videos, welcome. My name is Quinn, and I'm really excited to start this series, I guess, with you guys. So a little bit about myself. I am 23 years old. I am married to a U.S. Marine, and I am overweight. I've been overweight basically my whole life, and I've tried everything. I feel like I've, tried so many different diets, so many different workout routines, but none of them ever stuck. And I think the reason is because I was going about it all the wrong way. I was trying to get skinny or, look good, and I wasn't coming at it from a spiritual perspective, which is very important to me. I've never really taken into consideration how my relationship with food affects my relationship with God. And so I think that it's time that I really take this seriously. This is not my first time reading the book Made to Crave by Lisa TerKeurst, but it's the first time for me to apply these principles. I had a bad attitude the last time I read this book. I did not want to change. I didn't want to do anything. I knew that I probably needed to, but when it came down to it, I wasn't willing to admit that I was out of control with my food. I didn't see the severity of the issue. Now that I have gained, an extra 30 pounds or something ridiculous since the last time I read this book, I think it's safe to say that I have a problem. So I'm here. I'm really excited to just be open with you guys and kind of come at this from a new perspective. So if you watched my intro video 2 weeks ago, then you know that I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. I wanted to start today with a weigh-in. This morning before church, I woke up, I stepped on the scale, and I am at 314.2 pounds, which is horribly depressing. I never thought I would be over 300 pounds, and at the same time, it was exciting because this is actually less than I weighed when we moved to California. When we got to California a few months ago, I weighed in at 325 pounds. So I'm 11 pounds down, which is exciting, but I'm realizing I have so far to go. So for the purpose of this book club, my starting weight is 314 pounds, and there it is, it's out there. All right. So this week we are going over chapters 1 through 3 of the book. And for the sake of this video not being like a million years long, I'm not going to go over every single thought that I had, because I'm hoping that in the comments we'll be able to have some dialogue, people commenting with what they think. Let's talk about it in the comments and see if there's some discussion down there. So I'm really excited. So yeah, just to kind of start things off so that this video isn't so long, I'm gonna talk about the intro for a minute. A quote that really hit me right off the bat was, "Go ahead and dare to believe that this time around will be different." I'll be honest, I've said before that I've tried everything, and it's hard going into a new workout routine or a new eating plan. It's hard going into these things knowing that you've failed so many times in the past. It's hard telling your friends, yeah, I am trying to eat healthy, or I'm going to the gym, or I'm trying to lose weight. It's hard to tell your friends that whenever they've seen you crash and burn so many times. And so I got to a point where I felt like this is just me. I'm gonna be like this forever because I don't even want to start anymore. And that just really hit me. Just dare to believe that this time could be different. And, thinking about the possibility, if I open myself up and I think this time could be different. This time will be different. If I even think that, that gives me so much more energy and motivation. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like that really struck with me. So I think that's so important. And I hope that you, if you're in the same place, if this is like your like 19 millionth time to try something new, I hope that you're daring to believe that things can be different. Okay, so the intro talks a lot about what the book is, you know, and if you didn't read the intro, that's totally okay. But I just wanted to go over it because it kind of segues really nicely. But it talks about how the scale, the number on the scale isn't the issue for most of us. The issue for most of us is just the way that we feel. I feel defeated all the time. I feel depressed. I feel angry at my own body all the time. You know, living in a 2-story house, I get frustrated every single time I go up the stairs and I feel out of breath or my heart's beating fast. Like, that's frustrating to me and I'm mad. And that has nothing to do with the scale. That has to do with the way that my body feels. And, you know, relying so much on food, revolving my whole life around food. I think about food all day, every day, which is probably not very surprising. You know, I'm sure that there's people that look at me and they're like, yeah, all she thinks about is food. Well, yeah, that's literally all I think about from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed is, am I eating too much? Am I eating too, you know, too many carbs? Am I eating too much sugar? Am I, all these things. And then it gets so overwhelming that I want to binge. I want bad food. I want cinnamon rolls and McDonald's, and I want like all these horrible things for me. And it's consumed so much of my mind that I'm not focusing enough on my family. I'm not focusing enough on my God. I'm not even focusing on my mental health, my spiritual health. Like, those things all take a back burner because I spend so much time, I'm consumed so much by food. And that's so frustrating. So it has absolutely nothing to do with the number on the scale. It has everything to do with my mental health, my spiritual health, and just my physical, like, health. Like, I just getting up and doing things, like, I feel impaired. And so that's why I want to take this journey with y'all. In the beginning of the book, actually throughout a lot of the book, Lisa talks about how, you know, food is a big obstacle for us, and that's not by accident, that God knew that food would be a stumbling block for a lot of us. I think God wants us to give up the things that we crave the most. I think about fasting and how, you know, we're giving up food when we fast in order to get closer to God. It all comes down to giving up something for a short period of time that sustains us, that, you know, keeps us going, but we just trust in God and we rely on God so much. And I don't think that that's a coincidence that God uses something like food, because I think it is something that we even put above God. I can't remember if it's in the first or second. I can't remember if it's in the first chapter or the intro where Lisa says she had to ask, like, do you love food more than you love God? And I've had to ask that. And I think there's definitely times where I love food more than I love God. And that's horrible to admit and very sobering. But I think that it takes that brutal honesty to admit it so that we can move forward. And I think one of the most important things is we have to be crying out to God. We need to be praying to God daily, consistently, and asking for lasting change, asking for even the desire to get healthy. I was really inspired by Lisa saying, like, she just shared examples of her prayers. Like, you know, God, everyone in the office is going to get Mexican today, and I really want Mexican, but I'm choosing health. And, like, thank you, God, for helping me to choose health. Or, God, please help me to choose health. I was really inspired by that. And one thing that I did was I put a Post-it on my mirror, and I actually took a picture of the post-it and saved it as my screensaver on my phone, just saying like, God, help me to desire health today. Help me to desire lasting change. You know, help me to not want to give up. And I have to remind myself of that daily, several times a day, even to want to be healthy. And I am just recently really crying out to God and praying about these things because I think it's so important. So I guess I've kind of transitioned into chapter 1 already, but I wanted to talk about that we were made to crave, and that wasn't by accident. That, you know, we were made this way, but we were never intended to crave food more than God. And you know, food is just used as a placeholder for this book. There's so many books that are right along this topic. Any kind of self-help book is right along this topic. You know, we were never supposed to crave money more than God. We were never supposed to crave sex more than God. We were never meant to crave, you know, fulfillment from other people in whatever form. We were never supposed to crave that more than God. But somehow we've twisted this, and all of a sudden that's what we're left with in society, and it's even normal, you know. And when you really get down to it, it comes down to we are not craving God the way that we're supposed to. One thing that she said in the first chapter was, we consume what we think about, and what we think about can consume us if we're not careful. And that really was impactful to me because I think that I'm definitely consumed by food because, like I said, it's all I think about sometimes. And I get so consumed that I'm not even consumed by God anymore. And that is heartbreaking to me. That's not the place that I want to be in. I want to be close to God. I want to, you know, walk with Him. But if I'm so consumed by the thoughts of food, then I'm not going to be close to God. That's going to be something that I idolize above Him. That's going to be something that's in between us. So I have to dismantle it. If you're reading the book, at the end of each chapter, there's like some reflection questions. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, just because I want you to be able to think of these answers on your own and like answer them for yourself. But one that I thought really stood out to me. Okay. It was the second question in chapter 1, and it says, how do you respond to the idea that God made us to crave? Have you ever pursued a craving, a longing, passion, or desire that made a positive contribution to your life? What do you think distinguishes that kind of craving from the craving that leads you to eat in unhealthy ways? And so one thing that really stood out to me, as I said, when I first became a Christian, when I was pursuing God, it was an insatiable craving. I just wanted more and more God in my life. I couldn't seem to get enough. And I remember this time in my life, like I would read the Bible for hours and I just was so consumed. Like I could not get enough. I just needed to know more. I needed to know who God was. But I think the biggest difference is that when I'm craving food, or I feel like I want to binge, or I just want unhealthy options, it's not coming from a place of love and joy, but it's just coming from a place of guilt and shame. Like I'm very much an emotional eater, so anytime I'm upset, like I want to eat. I want to feel comforted through food, and we all know that doesn't last. You know, you might feel good in the moment, but then we're sunk down into even deeper shame because we gave in. But whenever I was craving God and I was really like studying His word and just so invested, it was because I love God so much and I wanted to be close to Him, and I just was so happy. And so I think that's the biggest difference that I see, is that I'm doing these things, I'm like eating in unhealthy ways, and in the moment I think I'm gonna feel better, but I never do. Like I feel worse. And it's so funny, like I can see this clearly right now, but in the moment I forget and I just have that knee-jerk reaction and I immediately jump to food. Okay, and so then on to chapter 2. Oh, here's where it was. So in chapter 2, this is where we have to take the sobering look. Like, is it possible we love and rely on food more than we love and rely on God? And like I said, I definitely have times where that's true for me. And so that's something that I want to obviously get away from in my life. I don't want to rely on food more than God. One thing in chapter 2 that I thought was like, oh my gosh, was when she talks about the Israelites and in Psalm 78:18, where it says they willfully put God to the test by demanding the food they craved. And I just think about, like, I don't know, I try to put myself in this situation. You know, imagine I'm the Israelites wandering around in the desert for 40 years and never getting there because my deepest desire was not this land, like, not this paradise, not being with God, not doing not even focusing on the gift from God, but just focusing on milk and honey. And just having that mindset of, I want to get where there's food and there's lots of it. And like, I can totally see myself being like the Israelites and just ending up wandering around and never getting there because I'm not relying on God. I'm not focused on God at all. I'm just trying to get to the food. And that really struck me, and I think it's just one thing that I need to keep in mind, is just my mindset and how I'm approaching everyday life and approaching these challenges that God puts in my life. Am I doing it for the right reasons? Am I taking this journey of food and health? Am I taking it for what it is, an opportunity for me to grow closer to God? Am I frustrated or I want to give in? I don't know. So I just that really struck with me. And then also, you know, again, where she's talking about her prayers, like, help me God to feel satisfied with healthier choices. I think this is something that we need to be doing daily and just really focusing on. So I hope that that's something that you're taking from this as well. And then also she says in chapter 2, each time I craved something I knew wasn't a part of my plan, I used that craving as a prompt to pray. I craved a lot, so I found myself praying a lot. And I think it's so easy to, you know, like, just try to grin and bear it through cravings. Like, so this past week, I gave up sugar, or I've been trying to cut down on sugar, I guess. I haven't completely given it up, but I haven't had like sweet treats or things like that. And when I'm having a craving, it's easier to just be like, I want that. I want candy so bad, but I'm not gonna have candy. Like, I'm just gonna tough it out. But what I should be doing is taking that as a prompt to pray. I've never gone away from prayer and felt like it was for nothing. I always feel at least more at peace after prayer. Just, okay, you know, I've presented my request to God, you know. And so I don't know why that's not instinct for me. It's not reflex. And I want to get there. I want to be able to take these cravings as a prompt to pray, so that in the future it will be my reflex, my knee-jerk reaction is to just pray through these cravings. And then, you know, I think it's important where she says, but instead of wallowing in what I can't have, I'm making the choice to celebrate what I can have. And just taking the time to thank God that, you know, maybe I'm not having a bacon double cheeseburger, but I get to have, you know, baked chicken, delicious. I've learned how to make really delicious baked chicken with fresh vegetables and a healthy salad. Like, I get to have these things and I'm so thankful. Like, changing my mindset that I'm not boo-hooing over not having healthy food, that's gonna make me feel worse anyway. I never feel great after having a burger. Don't get me wrong, I love burgers, but I never feel like great afterwards. I never feel content. I always feel like just kind of gross and icky and ugh. So, you know, I should be thanking God that I get to have a healthy meal and that I'm making a good choice for my body. Okay, so the reflection questions for chapter 2. One that I really wanted to talk about was the first one. It says, Lisa describes her morning ritual with the scale and her failed efforts to eat healthier as a vicious cycle she felt powerless to stop. When it comes to your relationship with food, what repeated behaviors or events describe the cycle you experience and feel powerless to stop? And so I said, I was talking about the cycle that I have. Like, I go into this cycle and I'm like super gung-ho, like I'm gonna do this right, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna, you know, be healthy, and I go into it with the best intentions. Like, I really am gonna do this. And then I may slip up. I may slip up a couple times. You know, I may throw away a whole weekend. And I get so guilty and I feel so ashamed that I just step away. Like, I don't even want to try to redeem myself. I don't want to try to start over. I just feel so much shame that I just want to binge and I want to just give up and throw in the towel. I become really unhappy and really depressed, and that lasts for a while. And then one day I'm like, I'm gonna be healthy and I'm gonna do this, and I just start the cycle over again. And it's just like I wrote in here, you know, I become unhappy and depressed until one day I decide to be healthy, and it's just wash, rinse, repeat from there. It really is just like, this is the cycle that I've seen since I graduated high school, and I don't want that cycle anymore. I want to be able to break this cycle and just do something different. I want lasting change. That's what I'm praying for every day. God, help me to want lasting change. Help me to have lasting change, because I don't want this cycle anymore. And then the second question, there are many reasons we have for wanting to eat differently: losing weight, fitting into a favorite pair of jeans, looking good for an important event. What reasons motivate your desire to eat healthier? And there's a lot more to that. But basically from that, the reason I'm so motivated this time around, I am desperate to become a mother. I have wanted to be a mom my whole life, and I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and at this weight, with this health, I'm not going to be able to conceive and have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. It's just not going to happen for me with this health. I need to get healthy. I need to get my body healthy so that we can conceive. My husband is about to deploy, and I would love to be among those homecoming babies. You know, if you know anything about the military, as soon as they get back from deployment, there's like 1 billion women that end up pregnant. I would love to be one of those women after this deployment. That would be amazing. But I know that that's not going to happen if I give up, if I give in to this cycle, if I don't change things now. So anyway, that's my biggest motivation right now, and that's what I'm focusing on. All right, and so the other questions I'm not going to go over right now, but we can talk about it in the comments. But I'm going to move on to chapter 3. I'm sorry, this video is already going to be so long. But chapter 3, okay. I love the beginning of chapter 3 when she talks about the man in his garden, and she sees like his hands in the dirt and he's like working, you know, and that was just really awesome for me, because I know that I am the person that I just want to wake up one day and just be healthy or just be thin, you know. I want to wake up one day and I'm at the perfect size, or I want to wake up one day and step on the scale and I've lost 10 pounds, you know. Like, I don't want to put in the work And that's from my own laziness, from my own stubbornness, and just the fact that it's hard. It's hard to change. So I'm definitely one of those that I just kind of will and wish and hope that my body will change. But I'm learning that I have to make serious changes, and I have to do drastic things if I want to change. And I think it's pretty drastic for me to, rely on God in this and make it a spiritual journey. I can't remember what chapter she says it in. They all kind of run together a little bit, but when she talks about, she starts this journey and people are saying, you're making this a spiritual thing. It's hard for people to understand sometimes. And even, Christians, not all of them have this particular struggle, and so they may not see how food can be a spiritual thing. But I'm realizing that that's one of those radical things that I'm having to do in order to make lasting change. Okay, I really like when she says, my changes were always temporary, therefore my results were also temporary. And I think that definitely explains the cycle that I was talking about, is that I don't stick with things. I don't pick a plan that I can stick with for a long period of time. And so I don't really change. There's so many like fad diets and things that you can lose weight really quickly. And I've done that. I've yo-yoed my whole life, where I've lost, 20 pounds and then I gain back 35. And, I lose 15 pounds and then I gain 20. And I've just done that my whole life. But I'm realizing that temporary change yields temporary results. And that's hard for me. Like, I'm thinking about the changes that I'm having to make, that they're going to have to be a lifetime. Reducing my sugar intake is going to have to last for a lifetime. Like, I'm going to have to pay attention to my food. I'm going to have to log what I'm eating. I'm going to have to check nutrition labels for the rest of my life. And that's hard for me to think about. I want to be able to just get healthy and then be like, okay, I got here, I'm good, awesome, we're done, but that's not going to happen for me. I'm always going to have this struggle. I'm always going to have the body that works this way. I'm always going to have a body that processes sugar this way. And I'm going to have to make lasting change if I want lasting results. And so I think, like, that's kind of depressing to just think about, like, oh, this is going to be forever. But I think what will keep me motivated, I think what will keep everyone motivated is, like she says in the book, thinking about and praying for friends to join you in this journey. I don't think that we can do this alone. I know that we can't do this alone. My husband is an awesome support, and I've had to have difficult conversations with him, saying like, I love you so much, I appreciate you so much, but you can't bring home brownies for me, or these things that he wants to do as a gift. He knows that I enjoy chocolates and this and that, and not that I want to take away his joy, but I just need that accountability. I need for him to join me on this journey. Finding out that there's friends who want similar goals, like they are trying to be healthy or lose weight or have a healthy pregnancy, and having to team up with them and be like, okay, let's do this together. Finding a support group, finding someone who's going to push me and help me on these goals. I just recently started a healthy eating challenge with Marcy from Marcy Barker Fitness here on YouTube, and there's a great community there, and people just encouraging each other and spurring one another on, and that's awesome and something that I need in order to be successful. I would not be able to be successful without that. So I think that's so important, and if you don't have that person who's going to spur you on, I want to be that person for you. If you're struggling and you're about to binge, like, I want you to be able to tweet me or send me an email, I don't know, but just I want you to be able to talk to me and tell me what's going on, and I want to be able to help you and support you, and I think that that's so great that we're able to do this together. Okay, so in the question she talks about the question number 2, it says, are there areas of your life in which having a plan works well for you? For example, in your finances, for vacation trips, accomplishing daily tasks, reaching professional goals, blah, 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 blah. In these areas of your life, does having a plan feel empowering or restrictive? Do your feelings change when the plan is about food, what you will eat, and what you will not eat? And so I was thinking, you know, having a budget, having a financial plan, following the Dave Ramsey baby steps, like that is super empowering to me. Knowing exactly where our money is going, how it's divided up, you know, having that all laid out, that's awesome and something I so appreciate and I love doing. And it's just been, you know, really empowering. Whenever I think about the same thing with food, I freak out. I'm like, I don't want to be told what I can and can't eat and where every calorie is going to go every day. You know, like, it freaks me out. And I get kind of bratty and I don't want to do it and I stomp my feet. But I'm realizing it's important. I'm not going to get where I want to be without strict guidelines. This right here is a product of me doing whatever I wanted without any guidelines, without rules, like just eating whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. This is what happened. So obviously something has to change. I need those strict guidelines. And now I'm not saying I want, you know, to be miserable for the rest of my life and never enjoy anything that tastes good again. But I'm just saying, like, I need a guideline. I need a plan. And then in question number 5, it says, Lisa described her food plan, but emphasized the importance of choosing a healthy plan that works for you. What words or phrases would you use to describe the kind of plan you think would be realistic for you over the long term? On a scale of 1 to 10, how hopeful are you that you can find a realistic food plan, one that you can grow to love, just as Lisa grew to love her food plan? So I didn't answer all those questions, I guess. That was a long question. But I do know that I need to find a plan that fits my PCOS, my polycystic ovarian syndrome. I know that it's going to need to be low sugar because I have insulin resistance from my PCOS. I know that it's going to need to be smart carbs because, again, they turn into sugar. So I can't just have carbs for days, you know. They're going to have to be smart, you know, not necessarily low carb, but just fewer carbs and carbs that are good for my body. I know for it to work long term, I need a plan that's not too restrictive, but I need boundaries. I need guidelines. And so I'm gonna have to find something that works with my everyday life, but that also is radical and is impactful. So that's it for this week's questions. I've learned a lot this week. I've been working with Marcy, like I said, focusing on sugar and just focusing on how many grams of sugar I'm actually having per day and trying to get it back to that daily recommended intake. I think the daily RDI is like 25 grams. I'd been having over like 60 grams of sugar per day in just hidden foods, things that I didn't even know had sugar in them. So that's something that I've been focusing on, just being aware of labels, reading every nutrition label, reading the ingredients, and just focusing on that. And that alone has helped me so much this week, and I'm so thankful. So I would love to know what it is that you need to focus on this week, and how you plan to start. You know, what kind of eating plan are you going to be focusing on? Are you talking with your doctor, which is something that I need to get in to see my doctor to talk to them. But are you talking with your doctor? Are you know, figuring out a plan for yourself? Do you have these guidelines set up, or are you trying to wing it? And if you're trying to wing it, are you being honest with yourself? Do you think that's really going to be able to sustain you to make lasting change? So, you know, let's talk in the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on these first 3 chapters. I thought they've been great. I'm just so excited to dig into this book deeper with you guys, and just see some lasting change. So that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be going over chapters 4, 5, and 6. So I'm moving through this pretty quickly. If you don't read all the chapters next week, that's totally okay. The video will be up, and whenever you read those, come back to that and leave your thoughts down below in the comments. But like I said, I wanted to go through this pretty quickly because I don't want it to be so many weeks long. So at this rate, I think we'll be done the last week of February. So that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry this video is a million years long. That's probably how they're gonna be because there's just so much good stuff to talk about in these chapters. So anyway, that's it. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.